I'm Lauren, 30, from Kansas City, Missouri. I'd been dating Jake for almost 4 years. We lived together, shared bills, took care of each other through tough times. Marriage had always been on the table, but whenever I brought it up, Jake would change the subject or say we weren't there yet. Eventually, he admitted he wanted to propose, he just couldn't afford the ring I deserved. I told him I didn't care about price, I just wanted us. He insisted he wanted to do it right. So I waited. And waited. Then one evening, while using his laptop to book a trip, a tab popped open, a jewelry site. I didn't mean to snoop, but the order confirmation caught my eye. It was dated 3 weeks earlier. And it wasn't shipped to our address. The receipt was for a custom engagement ring, a 1.5 carat solitaire, with a note, to the only woman who's ever truly understood me. My heart dropped. I copied the shipping address and did a quick reverse lookup. It wasn't a relative. Not a coworker. It was his ex. The one he claimed had messed him up so bad he couldn't love properly for years. He was planning to propose, just not to me. I didn't say a word. Instead, I boxed up all his things, printed the receipt, taped it to the front of the box, and left it in the living room. Then I booked a hotel, took the dog, and turned off my phone. The next day, he blew up my inbox, "It's not what you think." I was confused. I didn't know how to end things. I replied once, "You ended them the moment you clicked place order." He proposed that weekend. I know because the ex posted a photo. They looked so happy. But I was the one who walked away with the truth, and no lies on my finger. 4 years. That's how long I had invested in Jake Matthews. 4 years of shared meals, shared dreams, shared pain. 4 years of building a life in our modest 2-bedroom apartment in Kansas City, where the summer heat made the air conditioning our best friend and the winter cold had us huddled under blankets watching Netflix. I met Jake at my cousin's wedding. He was the best man, tall with sandy brown hair that fell just right across his forehead, and a smile that made me forget the uncomfortable bridesmaid dress I'd been complaining about all day. When he asked for my number, I didn't hesitate. Our first date was at a local brewery. He remembered everything I said, asked thoughtful questions, and kissed me goodnight in a way that made my knees weak. By the third date, I was already imagining a future together. By 6 months, we were practically inseparable. At the 1-year mark, we moved in together. My parents thought it was too soon, but I was confident. Jake was different, attentive, kind, stable. He helped me through my dad's heart surgery and celebrated with me when I got promoted at the marketing firm. I supported him when he switched careers from sales to graphic design, spending nights helping him build his portfolio. We were partners in every sense. Marriage came up organically around our 2nd anniversary. We were at my friend Melissa's wedding, watching her and her new husband dance under twinkling lights. "That'll be us someday," Jake said, squeezing my hand. "Really?" I asked, my heart fluttering. "Of course," he replied, kissing my temple. "When the time is right." But the right time never seemed to arrive. When I brought it up 6 months later, Jake said he wanted to be more financially stable. When I mentioned it after he landed a great contract with a major client, he said he wanted to wait until after his brother's wedding the following year. There was always a reason, always an excuse. "I just want to do it right, Lauren," he would say, wrapping his arms around me. "You deserve the perfect proposal, the perfect ring. I want to give you that." I told him repeatedly that I didn't need perfect. I didn't need an Instagram-worthy engagement or a ring that cost 3 months' salary. I just needed him, us, the commitment we've been dancing around for years. "I want to marry you, Jake, not a diamond," I said one night after dinner, the conversation once again circling our future. "And you will," he assured me, rubbing small circles on my back. "Just be patient. Good things come to those who wait." So I waited. I watched friends get engaged, attended their weddings, caught bouquets that seemed to mock me each time. I scrolled past engagement announcements on social media with a mixture of happiness for others and quiet disappointment for myself. My best friend, Alyssa, noticed my growing frustration. "Have you thought about proposing to him?" she suggested over brunch one Sunday. "It's the 21st century. You don't have to wait for him." I had considered it, briefly. But Jake had been clear about wanting to be the one to propose. He was traditional in that way, despite his otherwise progressive outlook. And part of me, a part one wasn't entirely proud of, wanted that moment, wanted to be asked, wanted to be chosen. "He's just saving up," I told Alyssa, repeating what Jake had told me countless times. "He wants the ring to be special." She gave me a look that I chose to ignore. I trusted Jake. We had built a life together, shared finances, a rescue dog named Bentley, holidays with each other's families. Marriage was just a formality, I told myself. We were already committed. That's what I believed until that Thursday evening in April. Jake was at a work event, and I needed to book flights for his cousin's wedding in Denver. My laptop was updating, so I grabbed his from the coffee table where he'd left it. I opened the browser, and that's when it happened. A tab refreshed automatically, Brilliant Earth Jewelry. The confirmation email was right there, dated 3 weeks earlier. A 1.5-carat solitaire diamond, custom setting, platinum band. It was beautiful. Exactly what I would have wanted. My first thought was delight, finally, he was going to propose. But then I noticed the shipping address. It wasn't our apartment. It wasn't his office. It wasn't his parents' house in St. Louis. The note attached to the order made my stomach turn, to the only woman who's ever truly understood me. For a moment, I sat perfectly still, the apartment silent except for Bentley's soft snoring from his bed in the corner. This had to be a mistake. Maybe it was for his sister. A cousin. But the note. With shaking hands, I copied the unfamiliar address and pasted it into Google. The search results showed a name, Vanessa Reeves. It took me a moment to place it. Vanessa. His college girlfriend. The one who had cheated on him during their senior year, leaving him devastated. The one he still occasionally mentioned, always with a hint of lingering pain. The one who had messed him up so bad he couldn't love properly for years. I scrolled through her social media profiles, which weren't private. There were recent comments from Jake on her photos, nothing overtly romantic, but friendly, supportive. How long had they been in contact? When had this started? I thought back over the past few months. Jake's increased work events. The times his phone would ding with notifications he'd quickly dismiss. The weekend workshop in Chicago that he'd been vague about afterward. It all started making a terrible kind of sense. I considered confronting him immediately, calling him at his client dinner, that was probably no such thing. I thought about throwing his clothes out the window, slashing his tires, all the cliched reactions of a betrayed partner. But I didn't want to be that person. I didn't want to give him the satisfaction of seeing me fall apart. For years of my life had been built on lies, but I could control how this ended. So I made a plan. I waited until morning, told Jake I had an early meeting, and kissed him goodbye as if everything was normal. Then I took the day off work and methodically packed up his belongings. Clothes, books, the vinyl collection he treasured, the expensive whiskey glasses his father had given him for Christmas. I boxed everything neatly, efficiently, the way I handled difficult projects at work. I printed the receipt for the ring, the evidence of his betrayal, and taped it to the front box. No angry note, no tearful pleading. Just the facts in black and white. I booked a hotel downtown, packed a bag for myself and one for Bentley, and left the apartment spotless except for the stack of boxes in the living room. Before I walked out, I took one last look at the framed photo of us from our trip to California last summer. We looked so happy, his arm around my waist, both of us squinting in the sunshine at Big Sur. I placed the photo face down on the coffee table and closed the door behind me. At the hotel, I turned off my phone and ordered room service. I took a long shower, letting the hot water wash over me as I finally allowed myself to cry. Not just for the relationship I had lost, but for the one I had thought existed. For the future I had planned that would never happen. When I turned my phone back on the next morning, the notifications flooded in. 15 missed calls from Jake. 37 text messages ranging from confused to pleading to angry to remorseful. What happened? Where are you? Please call me back. I don't understand. It's not what you think. I was confused. I didn't know how to end things. Please, Lauren, let me explain. I made a mistake. I still love you. I read each message with surprising detachment, as if they were meant for someone else. The only response I sent was, "You ended things the moment you clicked place order." Then I blocked his number. Jake found me through Alyssa 2 days later. He showed up at her apartment while I was there, eyes red-rimmed, unshaven, looking like he hadn't slept. For a brief moment, seeing him so distraught almost weakened my resolve. 5 minutes, he begged. Just give me 5 minutes to explain. Against Alyssa's advice, I agreed to talk to him alone, stepping outside to the building's courtyard. I never meant to hurt you, he started, his voice cracking. Vanessa reached out months ago, said she wanted closure. It was just coffee at first, then it became more. I was going to end it with you properly, I swear. Just what? I asked, my voice steady despite the pain coursing through me. Just thought you'd string me along for months while you rekindled things with her. Just decided that 4 years together didn't deserve honesty. I got caught up in the past, he admitted. She was my first love, and seeing her again brought everything back. But I've been thinking clearly these past few days, and I know now that what we had was real. I made a terrible mistake, Lauren. Please give me another chance. I studied his face, the face I had woken up to nearly every morning for years, the face I had once thought I knew better than my own. Now it belonged to a stranger. Did you sleep with her while we were together? I asked bluntly. His hesitation was answer enough. How long? Lauren. How long? He looked at the ground. 6 months. 6 months. Half a year of lies. Half a year of me waiting patiently for a proposal that was never meant for me, while he was rebuilding a relationship with someone else. I don't hate you, Jake, I said finally, surprising myself with the truth of it. I just don't know you. And I don't want to. I walked away without looking back. Later that week, I arranged for the rest of my things to be moved out of the apartment while Jake was at work. I stayed with Alyssa until I found my own place, a small but sunny 1-bedroom closer to my office. 3 weeks after discovering the truth, I saw the engagement announcement on social media. Vanessa's perfectly manicured hand displaying a familiar ring, 1.5 carats, solitaire diamond, platinum band. Her caption, "To new beginnings with my soulmate." Sometimes the timing has to be right for true love to find its way back. Jake's comment underneath, "Forever this time." They looked radiant, standing on the observation deck of the Liberty Memorial with the Kansas City skyline behind them, a spot I had once mentioned to Jake as my dream proposal location. Friends called and texted, concerned and outraged on my behalf. They offered to help me expose him, to tell Vanessa what he had done, to ensure everyone knew the truth. But I declined. He's not worth the energy, I told them, and mostly meant it. Instead, I focused on rebuilding. I adopted Bentley officially, Jake hadn't even asked about him, redecorated my new apartment, and threw myself into work. I started taking photography classes, something I'd always wanted to do but had put off because Jake thought it was a waste of money. I reconnected with friends I had inadvertently neglected while trying to build a life with someone who was simultaneously dismantling it. 6 months after the breakup, I ran into them at a restaurant downtown. They were sitting at a corner table, Jake's hand covering hers on the tablecloth. For a moment, our eyes met, and I saw something flicker across his face: regret, shame, curiosity. Whatever it was, it passed quickly. I nodded politely and continued to my own table where my date was waiting. Not a serious relationship, just a nice guy I'd met through work. As I sat down, I caught Vanessa studying her ring, twisting it slightly as if it didn't quite fit right. And I wondered if she knew what I now did, that sometimes the most valuable things aren't the ones that sparkle the brightest, but the truths we carry with us, even when they're painful. I had walked away with nothing tangible from those 4 years, no diamond to show for my time. But I had gained something far more valuable, the knowledge of my own strength, and the freedom that comes with no longer waiting for someone else to determine my worth. So while they sat there with a ring between them, beautiful, expensive, and built on lies, I was the one who had truly escaped. And as I smiled at my date and took a sip of my wine, I realized I wouldn't have had it any other way.